Does something not feel right about your job? Do you wake up dreading to go to work? Do you come back from work having a lot of things to complain about? Do you spend a lot of time with your loved ones complaining about your job, the culture, your colleagues, not finding a bigger purpose, not being passionate about your job? Do you feel like you're on the verge of quitting? There are millions of people quitting their job anyway these days. COVID brought about the realization of the need for flexibility, satisfaction, and well-being. And of course, money too. We do spend most of our days and the best days of our life at work. So there should be this feeling of being fulfilled and empowered. So, is it time to quit your job? Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sheen. I am an Oxford and Cambridge graduate currently working as a consultant in Dubai. On this channel, we develop ways to improve both our professional and personal lives. So you must have heard that there is the great resignation happening these days with millions of people quitting their jobs while they're looking for something more fulfilling, more satisfying, that allows them to be more flexible while also earning more money. It also means that a lot of people have realized that their current job is not providing them with the right things that they're looking for. For example, whether it is the right cultural fit, being passionate about what you do, or seeing the bigger purpose or how you're contributing to the bigger picture. So then it sounds like, it's obvious that if you're not feeling fulfilled and empowered in your current workplace, and given that you spend such a big amount of your time at work, it is time to move on. But it is not that simple. I will hold on before sending that very carefully drafted resignation letter. Before you decide to quit, it is quite important to be convinced and entirely sure that you're quitting for the right reasons. Are you looking for growth? Are you looking to take back control of your career? Are you looking for a change? Or are you just bored or burnt out? Do you just need a break from your current work? Do you need changes at your current work? Or do you actually need to find a new job? Whenever you feel like you're on the verge of quitting, or you're considering quitting your job or finding another job, it is very important to honestly assess your workplace and yourself, and therefore the fit. In this video, I will share with you the 5 indicators that it is now time to move on from your job. The first one is probably the most obvious one, and the one that I think everybody will agree with, which is poor work-life balance, right? And what does this mean? It means that you are being asked to prioritize work over everything else, or you are expected to do so without being told very openly that you need to prioritize work over everything else. And that could mean that you have really long working hours, you could be working weekends, there could be no clear demarcation between your professional and personal life, you're constantly online for work. And this is bad for many reasons. First of all, it can lead to productivity guilt, where you feel like you should be working all the time even though you've completed your task. Secondly, it leads to unnecessary stress. It leads to really bad use of your energy and time. And of course, it negatively impacts your personal life, your relationships, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, and everything else. And honestly, you need downtime, right? Even if it's not about spending time with other people or having a social life or being at work, you need to have downtime where you're not doing anything, or you're doing things that are purely for yourself. And obviously, if you relate with this having a poor work-life balance, you will not be happy, and this leads to a dip in productivity, and it's not good for the company either, right? So therefore, if you are in this position at the moment where you feel like you're approaching burnout, or you have a really bad work-life balance, it might be time to take some time off so that you have the headspace to actually go through and reassess whether how you are performing at work and how the expectations have been set out at work are good for you or not, and what would be a better situation for yourself. And I would bring that up at work and see if they would be willing for you to be a bit more flexible, or have some non-negotiables that work will then respect in terms of boundaries, in terms of your time. And of course, if they're not willing to change, then it is time to change your job. Now, the second thing is you might not be feeling challenged anymore at work. And in these circumstances, most of the times, people actually like their job, they like their colleagues, they like their work culture and everything. But suddenly they feel like they're not being challenged creatively, intellectually, and they just feel bored, right? It also means that you're not learning anything new and you're not getting any kind of development opportunities. So in these cases, it is now time to talk to your manager or whoever is in charge of your career development to raise this issue that you feel like you're not being challenged and you're not learning anything new, you're not upskilling. So therefore, what can be done in these cases? How do you spice things up? You know, it could be that you start mentoring someone more junior than you. It could be that you start helping out with recruitment. It could be that you join one of the social clubs of the company that's helping different aspects of the business. It could be anything, but it means that you need to now broaden your horizon, or it could be that it is time to change your role a bit, because boredom is really bad. And this leads again to, you know, a lot of negative impacts on your personal and professional lives. So therefore, it is now time to have that conversation. And once again, if after the conversation nothing changes, time to change job. The third indicator is micromanagement. As soon as I said that, if you've ever been micromanaged, you can immediately think about how stifling that was, right? I've been in that situation as well, and it is the worst in terms of productivity, in terms of how good you feel about yourself, in terms of how much you like what you do, in terms of how good you feel, everything. Mostly because micromanagement means that there is a lack of trust, there is no autonomy. Therefore, it's undermining your efficacy, which obviously leads to self-doubt, lack of autonomy, and therefore now you're not sure where you stand in this piece of work in relation to the person who's micromanaging you. And micromanagement is bad for many reasons, because firstly, it creates a really toxic work culture for the team and whoever is being micromanaged, which negatively impacts productivity and is not good in the longer term and is not good for the outcome and the output of the project. So overall, it's not good for anybody, which is why, again, we have a conversation. Most of the times, people who micromanage, they do it from a place of, you know, maybe lack of conviction in themselves, so they feel the need to be constantly on top of everything, or you know, this need to be attached to the output of what their team is producing in order to feel like they're contributing. It sometimes comes from different places, not excusing the fact that they are doing it, but we need to understand it and raise it. And maybe sometimes they don't realize that they're doing it, so it is good to raise it. And one way you can do this is by, you know, either sending an email or sitting them down and saying that, in order for me to be at my peak performance, I need to be able to feel like I am being trusted and I am given autonomy for the piece of work that I am in charge of. And at the moment, I do not feel that this is the case. And therefore, what can we do to change this situation? Always say we, less attacky. You know, the other person feels like this is a teamwork. We are all on the same side. No one is being confronted. And therefore, the other person will not tend to be defensive. And again, same situation after the conversation. If you see changes, great, you know, fixed. But if you don't see changes, then it is now time to move on. Now, the fourth thing is appreciation. As human beings, we are driven by the need to feel like we belong, you know. This is how we're wired, and therefore this leads to us seeking for validation, for approval, for recognition, especially in the workplace, whenever you've done a piece of work or a specific task. And especially if you feel like you've done it very well, or you've gone out of your way to do more than you were expected to do, you want the appreciation. And, you know, good leadership and good management will recognize this, and therefore will make sure that their employees feel like they are being appreciated in whatever they are producing. And I'm pretty sure there are some studies that have shown that employees react better to appreciation and word of encouragement rather than a pay rise. See, even money doesn't have the same impact as, you know, someone feeling appreciated by the words that they are hearing. Now, if you feel like you're not being recognition or credit is not being given where it's due, it is very normal to now feel like it's unfair, and you feel like, well, why will I do this next time? I would rather not overdo it. I would rather not put in that much work because I will not get the recognition anyway. All of this, lack of fairness and recognition is a sign of poor management and poor leadership, which in most cases, people leave companies for these reasons. And again, it's the same thing in terms of recognition, because this leads to your personal performance, and therefore it leads to opportunities for growth and promotion and bonuses and all of that. So now if you're not being recognized fairly, you're not also being given the opportunities for growth. And again, all of this together is just a very bad package. And if you've raised it that, you feel like your piece of work has not been recognized, and once again, you're not seeing the change and you're not feeling appreciated in what you're doing, then it is not a good place for you to be at, and it is time to move on. And finally, it's the integrity fit. And this is a bit of a difficult thing to explain, but I feel like all companies, whenever they're advertising themselves, wherever they are at recruitment events, they will really highlight how they really care about people and their well-being, and this is at the forefront of their values. But then sometimes people will then start working for them and see that, okay, they actually are not very good at upholding these values. And you will see that the culture is at odds with what the company values have been advertised as. So, even though you'll be told that, today is Wellness Wednesday, for example, and you should take some time off, go for a walk, do some yoga or something. And then once you leave your desk and you come back, you have tons of emails and messages being, where were you? I've been trying to contact you. You should have been at your desk. So this is an example of the culture being at odds with the values. And it's crazy how often this happens in the modern world, and this is just not okay. If they cannot uphold their values and instead they're acting like they really want to squeeze as much as possible out of their employees rather than, really care for their well-being and making sure that everything is balanced, this is not a very good sign. I think this is a really big red flag, especially for me, and I think for a lot of people, that because when you are applying for jobs and you get job offers, the reason you pick something is based on their values and how you feel you will fit into the culture, into the people. And before you join, the best way for you to assess what the culture will be like is from talking to people and, understanding what their values are at the company. And if this is what has been shown, and then obviously it's a lie, and this is not what you're getting when you actually join. So again, massive red flag. So here we go. These are the 5 things that I think are indicators that it is time to quit. But as I have said in each of them, I think the best thing to do in every scenario, when you're at work especially, whenever you feel like something is not right, or you feel like you have been wronged, or something is just not suitable for you, you need to raise it. First action point is raise it. Have a conversation with whoever is in charge or whoever can help you. Have a conversation, raise it. Then, if things do not change, it is time to move on. But always give them a chance to make it better for you, because sometimes people don't realize that this is what it is coming across, or this is the situation they're creating. So once you've given them a chance to actually remediate the situation and they don't, then it is time to look for another job and find somewhere where you will fit in better and therefore flourish. As I have said, we do spend a big amount of our lifetime at work, our best days and most of our day at work. So it needs to be somewhere where you feel like you are being empowered, and it is somewhere where you feel like you are being fulfilled. And whatever value or purpose you have in terms of what you want to achieve in life, you feel like somehow it is helping you get there. I hope this was helpful in any way. Please do share in the comment section how you decide whether it is time to quit or not, in order to be helpful to others and maybe myself. So thank you very much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.